Okay, so McGill University said it's going to cut its contractual relationship with the students' union, and the two are entering into a mediation period. But what exactly does this mean? Well, let's take a step back. Last week, there were 3 days of strikes over the university's investments linked to Israel. The Student Society of McGill University says about 4,000 students voted and 72% were in support of the strikes. McGill administration cited the strikes as part of a decision to move to cut ties with the student union. In an email sent to students, the school said access into a dozen classes were blocked by protesters and that individuals smashed a glass office door using a fire hydrant filled with red paint while staff were inside. The email also said that all students deserve to be on a campus free of fear, harassment, or violence, and that the student union didn't do enough to dissociate itself from groups without recognized status at McGill that endorse or engage in acts of vandalism, intimidation, and obstruction as forms of activism. Now, this decision is getting a lot of reactions. Students for Palestine's Honor and Resistance voiced their support for the student union, saying the student body has never been more united and galvanized in support for Palestine, and that is precisely why the administration is insistent on penalizing everyone for a democratic strike instead of simply divesting. The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs voiced its support for McGill's decision, saying the student union played an undeniable role in the chaos that overtook McGill's campus last week, and that accountability matters.
We strictly said at the beginning that students were expected to follow the Code of Student Conduct, but then there are other groups on campus that decide to take that extra further. We can't stop them. We don't have an enforcement mechanism.
So you might be wondering, if McGill cuts its contractual relationship with the student society, what does this mean? First of all, in Quebec, some student unions have special status because of Quebec's act respecting the accreditation and financing of students' associations.
They can get an accreditation from the Quebec Ministry of Education, and once they get that, they have powers a bit similar to a labor union.
So at McGill, the student union can freely appoint representatives, access office space, secure funding as well. So this mediation process we were talking about earlier between the university and the student union, well, it's not going to override that provincial law.
It's not like McGill could defund the student union tomorrow. That would be basically going to be against the law.
But the mediation is going to take a look at something else, the Memorandum of Agreement. Basically, it's like a huge contract that outlines how the relationship between the two bodies will work.
How the fees will be paid, access to space, how to book, how to basically carry on the activities. That's a contract that goes further than the accreditation. It's something that is different.
So they're going to negotiate this contract. And we spoke with one McGill professor who supports the students and who's a labor expert.
The students have raised specific demands. The university might not like them, but that's the point of a negotiation, dealing with issues that one or the other party would rather not deal with and figuring out ways to hash out those deeply held differences.
Mediation will start within 2 weeks and will last until June. And the Student Society says that their operations will continue as normal. So things like clubs, services, employment, insurance, none of that is going anywhere. And the Student Society says they'll update the community throughout this entire process.